I think a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that in Iowa, uh, there were Satanists who wanted to do a multi-day reading of Paradise Lost inside the Iowa state capitol. They wanted to do that because the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, had signed a proclamation supporting a multi-day entire state Bible reading marathon. And they said, all right, if you're going to promote a Bible reading marathon, then we want to have a like 4-day Paradise Lost reading marathon inside the Capitol. And what I said in the previous video, and I will try to do my best to link to it down below, what they said is, all right, we're going to fill out the permit to have this event. And they did it. And as soon as they turned in that application, the state of Iowa, the people who run the permit thing, they said, oh, we're going to change the rules. And the new rules say you're only allowed to have a 1-day event if you want to use the space in the Capitol. No multi-day events, just a 1-day thing. And you're only allowed to have one event a year, which is very convenient because it turns out Satanists like to put up displays in the Capitol over Christmas. And they did it last year and it caused a whole ruckus. And so presumably they were going to do it again this year. So these new rules said you're only allowed to do it for 1 day, not like 4. And also, if you want to have your reading in the Capitol, you won't be able to put up a holiday display this year. So those were the rule changes. And what I mentioned in that past video is that when they implemented those changes, it actually blocked an event to help homeless veterans find jobs. Another group wanted to have a multi-day job fair inside the Capitol to help homeless veterans, and they could no longer do it because of those rule changes. Iowa was willing to throw those people under the bus in order to stick it to Satanists. So that's the video I made last time. So here's the update that I found really interesting. After the Satanists, the Satanic Temple of Iowa, they had a choice. Do we do a 1-day reading inside the Capitol? But if we do that, I mean, we don't get to put up a display this winter, or we choose not to do the reading at all, but then they win. That's no fun. So what they did is they decided to rent space, or apply for a permit rather, outside the Tama County Courthouse. They scheduled it for September 16th and 17th. So they were going to do a 2-day reading outside of a county courthouse because the county courthouse didn't play by the same rules, right? So they applied for that permit and they got it. And I actually saw this headline as they received it. Satanic Temple of Iowa leader explains upcoming reading in Tama County. And it says in the first paragraph there, members of the Satanic Temple of Iowa will gather on the Tama County Courthouse lawn this coming Monday and Tuesday. So fantastic. They were able to do their 2-day reading outside the courthouse. Great, right? The problem with all of this is that they made the request, can we have this space? And they got that. But apparently, the people who approved that request had no idea what they were saying yes to. Give me 1 second here. This is interesting. The Satanic Temple minister, Mortimer Adramelech, he actually said that the reason they wanted to hold it in Tama County, here we go. There was a reason they wanted to hold it outside Tama County. Tama County has also historically had events similar in nature to ours at their county courthouse lawn, such as the Iowa 99 County Bible Reading Marathon. The county courthouse building and lawn is beautiful, perfectly suited to the needs of an event of this type. But look at this. Adramelech indicated that there was some misunderstanding after he called the county auditor to make the event request, because when they approved of the event, attendees said the request was made for a Bible reading. Like, I said, this is the Satanic Temple here. I said that we would like to hold a Paradise Lost reading marathon on the Tama County Courthouse lawn. The Iowa 99 County Bible Reading Marathon was brought up, and I said that our event was similar in concept. It was never my intention to mislead anyone about the nature of our event. So basically, he said, we want to do this thing like the Bible reading, the people at the courthouse who make these decisions said, yeah, okay, that's fine. You can have a 2-day reading outside the courthouse, because they thought they were going to do a Bible reading. And then the Satanists are like, no, we're Satanists. But again, none of that should have mattered. It's a cute little miscommunication, not intentional, but kind of funny. But also, who cares? Because the Satanists have the First Amendment right to take advantage of this space as well, right? It's open space for public use. The text that they are reading is irrelevant. So anyway, doesn't matter if people were confused. The event did go on. People ended up reading Paradise Lost from like 8:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night. And guess what? It was fine. They read the book. There was a small audience around them. It was perfectly uneventful. No Christians were harmed during the reading of the non-Bible. They actually finished Paradise Lost early on the morning of day 2, so they ended up reading a different book called The Revolt of the Angels. And again, all of this probably would have gone under the radar, except the Tama County Board of Supervisors were so offended by the idea that Satanists were taking advantage of this space that they decided they also need to change the rules so that this sort of thing never happens again. All right. So check this out. This is from the Times Republican in Iowa. They crafted a new policy. The new policy, drafted by Tama County Human Resources Manager Tammy Wise, based on suggestions from an attorney, has more requirements for those who want to gain permission to use the lawn in the future. Insurance will have to be proven, and a $100 deposit will have to be submitted, which is fine, I guess. Like, I don't know if they think that's going to stop the Satanists, because it won't. You're just putting, like, I know they think they're putting some hurdles in the way so Satanists never ask for permission again, but they're extremely tiny hurdles. You think the Satanists don't have $100? They don't want to pay for insurance for what, by the way? It's a book reading, but whatever. So they created these new rules specifically in response to the Satanists taking advantage of the space. And if you think I'm exaggerating, because whatever, they made these rules, but they weren't saying it was against Satanists, you know who disagrees with that? The people who approved it, who said they're doing it to stop the Satanists. Check this out. This is from one of the supervisors. His name is Kurt Hilmer. We've gotten calls. We've got emails. We're worried you approved it. We didn't approve it, the Satanists. None of us. We're all God-fearing people. Nobody knew what was going on. But unfortunately, the First Amendment dictates what we can do and can't do, Board of Supervisors Chairman Kurt Hilmer said. Are they going to recruit anybody from Tama County? God, I hope not. They're just here to get attention. I hope there's no newspapers. I hope there's no TV cameras. I hope there's nothing. This guy doesn't understand what the Streisand effect is, because we're doing a whole video and this whole article all about the thing that this guy hoped would get no attention. But again, look at what he's saying. We're all God-fearing people. Apparently, in Tama County, they have an official religion. Who knew? And look at this. Nobody knew what was going on. But unfortunately, the First Amendment means they have a right to do this. Like, man, pesky First Amendment keeps getting in the way of their theocracy. And what is it? Are they going to recruit anybody? You think the Bible people weren't worried about, like, of course the Bible people wanted to recruit people. And even if the Satanists, who were not trying to recruit anybody, what would happen if they recruited people? Oh no, are you going to have respect for people of different religious beliefs? Oh no. Like, just an utterly stupid thing to think, much less say out loud in a paper. But that's not the only thing this guy said. Like, first of all, he's admitting we totally would have blocked these people had we known what they were doing and if the First Amendment didn't exist. I asked the Satanic Temple guy who was doing the reading, what did he make of these comments? And he said they were truly bizarre. This is also interesting from the same article. The same Hilmer guy, the supervisor, he said, if it keeps happening, the Satanists using the courthouse lawn, I would probably vote for not letting anything happen over there. It's sad because it affects the good people. Like, oh my God. He would vote for shutting down the ability for anyone to like borrow that public space. He would say no one's allowed to use it, all to shut out the Satanists. Why? And he's like, oh, that would be sad if I had to do that because it affects the good people. The good people being what? Not Jews, not Muslims. uh, who are the good people? The good people are the ones who agree with his religion. Everyone else is apparently bad and evil. And if anyone except a Christian ever said that, we would just get nonstop coverage on like Fox all the time. Like this guy's willing to ban everyone from the public space to stop one group he doesn't like. And why? Because they read a book that wasn't the Bible? Jesus. There was one other thing that I found interesting. When the Paradise Lost reading was happening, this was also interesting in the local newspaper. A glance out of the supervisor's meeting room window Monday morning showed that another group was gathered on the aforementioned bandstand where they were doing the reading. Christians, led by local pastor Adam Todd from the Solid Rock Bible Church in Toledo, hosted a reading of the Bible on the bandstand and courthouse lawn without permission from the city of Toledo or Tama County. So the Satanists had Christian hecklers reading the Bible in the same region where you're supposed to get permission from the county in order to take up that space. These Christians were there with zero permission, and as far as I can tell, zero punishment. Also, they could heckle the Satanists who were reading right nearby. No punishment for the Christians who did that. By the way, Adam Todd, I've mentioned him before because last year there was a situation where a county fire department, I believe, had a nativity scene on their front lawn. And obviously you can't do that. And at the very least, if you want to have a nativity scene on your front lawn outside a city-owned service, you can't just have a nativity scene. You got to have displays from, secular displays or other religious displays. And when an atheist complained about that, the fire department responded by putting up a picture of Santa and a reindeer, and then they were able to avoid any legal problems. When they put up the Santa and the reindeer, Adam Todd spoke to a local newspaper, and he basically said that allowing Santa to go up next to the nativity was an example of atheists and Satanists trying to murder baby Jesus. That's the way that guy put it, because he's normal and sane. I asked Lucian Greaves, who's the co-founder of the Satanic Temple, what he made of Hilmer's horrible comments and this whole situation. And this is what he told me. In all of a single statement, in all of a single statement, Kurt Hilmer reveals an ignorance that goes beyond a mere misunderstanding of our religion, demonstrating a complete lack of awareness or respect for the most basic elementary principles of law. Such commentary leaves no question that he's entirely unqualified for public office. For what it's worth, Christian groups have not remarked on the county's new policy, at least not publicly. But, I mean, this is all the more reason you want non-Christian groups taking advantage of public spaces. Because by using them the same way that Christian groups are, they're exposing the fact that many elected leaders cannot handle religious freedom when it involves religions they don't personally agree with. I asked Justin Scott, an Iowa atheist who's fought many church-state battles there, what he thought about all this. He applauded the Satanic Temple, and he said to me, Christian nationalists need to realize that atheists, Satanists, and other non-Christians will no longer be silenced or intimidated. We will continue to assert our religious freedom loudly and proudly in the public square. I'm going to pause there before I move on. What other questions we got here? And then I have one more story after that. Oh, thanks for that donation, Gerardo. Great topics tonight. You keep doing a great job exposing fraudsters. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I try. Did you ever watch Overly Sarcastic Productions yet? You mentioned that, and I believe I did, but I cannot remember what I was supposed to watch in there. I'm pretty sure if you made the recommendation and you emailed me about it, and the email's in the description below, I usually check out every link people send me when it comes to this kind of stuff. So if you ever want me to check out anything, or you think there's a local news story that I need to check out, email it to me. The email's down below. All that contact information is there. How dare these non believers who pay taxes use the space the same way that religious groups do? I know it's horrible. How dare they want equal treatment? And this is the thing, like I say this over and over, but for some of these conservative Christian groups, equal treatment, neutrality is treated as persecution. They cannot handle being treated on the same level as everybody else or seeing other people get the same rights and resources and privileges that they do. And they flip out anytime other people play by the same rules. They always want special treatment. I mean, isn't that the theme of like every story we're saying today? They always want to get away with special rules for them only. Has he talked about Dead Domain's interviews with the children of Steven Anderson? Thanks for asking that. So, if you haven't seen this yet, this is a separate story. Steven Anderson is a new independent fundamentalist Baptist preacher. He's a hate preacher. I've spent years sharing some of the horrible things he said online. And a couple of his many kids, a couple of them have now spoken. If you go to the YouTube channel for Dead Domain, a couple of those kids have now spoken out and said, I grew up in a very abusive home. Steven Anderson and his wife, they were abusive to me physically, emotionally, verbally. And their interviews are really compelling. I think there was one son whose views are still reprehensible, but he was opening up about this stuff. There was another son who's closer to my end of the political spectrum who also spoke out against this. Those videos are fascinating. I don't have that much to add about it because I'm happy that they're speaking out and getting their story out. Other than that, it's not like I can verify some of the stuff that they're saying. It's not like Steven Anderson's answering my phone calls. But I do find those interviews to be really interesting. And I did watch the one Dead Domain did with both of those kids. And I think there may have been a couple more interviews that they've done. But fascinating, sad, very interesting though. Here's our Catholic nativity scene, and here's our Protestant nativity scene, and here's our Orthodox nativity scene. See, not endorsing one viewpoint. That's like the Ryan Walters argument, too. What? It's the Bible. It's for all Christians and people, and everyone loves the Bible. Like they just assume their version of it is universal because all these people live in a bubble where everyone always shares their views. So, yeah, I get that thinking.